Welcome to this week's edition of What's on Tap. I am Gary Monterosa, joined by Ms. Tara Nurin. How are you, Tara?
Well, I'm eating right now, and you're kind of disturbing my breakfast.
Okay, well, I'll leave you alone.
Minute?
And if you want to just move back in the corner and take a nap after you get done, that'd be cool also.
I think I'll try some ciders first, and then maybe nap.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to get into that very, very shortly. But I do want to mention to you that What's on Tap is brought to you by Dogfish Head Craft Brewery, located in Milton, Delaware. Brewing, cooking, selling, and talking everything beer since the summer of 1995. And, of course, Tropicana Atlantic City, our good friends at Tropicana. I believe, didn't the Chelsea, the pool, I think, was just voted one of the top 10 best tourist destinations by USA Today.
Oh, the Chelsea in AC?
Yeah,
the
exactly,
just bought?
which is owned by the Tropicana, right.
Oh, that is wonderful, because I can say this now that it has new ownership. The last time I went there, everything was so awful that my friends and I just laughed the whole weekend because it was
But that was before
Tropicana took over. Yes, that is what I'm saying. And
That's right. You
way
better
better
say
now.
Right, exactly.
It was funny before because it was so bad. But yeah, I'm excited that it's got new ownership. And I've been there, I think, twice since and had a very nice time.
Yeah. Well, you stayed there when you were judging the cocktail competition, I think, right?
Oh, that's right.
Stayed at Tropicana then?
That's right. That Little Water Distillery hosted
Right.
at the Trop. Yep. And made that new chocolate bar
Yes.
in AC.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking we need to get him on.
I'm down with that.
Colazzo. Hi.
Yeah, Mark, right?
Are you listening? We're going to invite you on, Mark, if you can tell us right now that you're listening. They had amazing, not to change the subject, but they had some really amazing drinks, chocolate stuff.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Probably the
hearing.
best old-fashioned I've ever
Hearing
had.
a lot. That's quite a statement then to make, because you've had a few old-fashions.
Because I
in your
drink
time.
a lot, is that what you're saying?
We talked on that last week. John Kashu is back home. He's not in the studio with us today. John was in the Dominican Republic for a couple of weeks, but we'll be having him back next week on the 15th. So we look forward to seeing our good friend John. We know John's listening.
What's he up to?
What's he up to? I think about a six-pack a day. To tell you the truth.
Better be good, John. I judge you.
Right. No, he and his lovely wife were in the DR.
Yeah.
Celebrating their anniversary, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. I'm not sure what number it is, but good for them.
I don't know either, but they had frowns on their face. I saw pictures they posted online when their vacation ended. Big frowns on their faces. It's back to the real world, you know?
You know, those are the Have
another
driving
drink.
enough alcohol yet. Those are two of the nicest people.
You know,
I
absolutely they are.
They John Kushu and Tara.
Totally
his wife,
agree.
Roy, or Tara
Totally
too.
agree.
Well, I guess for
Good
John
people.
it's Tara 1. But
Right.
no, they're just so nice. Like,
They are. Genuine
genuinely
people.
Nice, yeah.
Genuine people. You know, we're about beer, but we're going to do a little change of pace today. How's cider sound to you?
Cider sounds like a nice change of pace.
It does. I love cider. I love a well-made cider. And I'll tell you what, I think we're going to be impressed
Cool.
with what we're going to be trying today. The industry, and these guys can tell us, but the cider industry, the hard cider industry in the U.S. has really evolved over the last few years. I mean, I remember what things were like. I'm going to go back maybe 10 years ago or so. And the limit, in some ways, it mirrors craft beer, the way craft beer was, I guess, going back into the 80s. doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Some
does.
of the things that are happening here. Well, let's get right into it and talk to them.
Sure.
The company's called Original 13.
Uh-huh.
Probably after the original colonies, right, guys? Okay. Correct. And so our guests are Madeleine. We got to call her Maddy. Bird. Hi, Maddy.
Hello, my name's Maddy.
Right.
And I already have the feeling that she's quite opinionated, so I can't wait to talk to her.
Should I call
Just
her
a little
Madeleine? I should call her Madeleine all day to get her PO'd at me. No, I don't want to do
Might
that.
make the
Great
show
idea.
interesting.
Yeah. See what I mean?
Maddy Bird. Maddy, what do you do with the company? What's your role?
I am the marketing and events manager for Original 13 Ciderworks. We're the makers of Sir Charles Hard Cider, so my job is to get the name out there, get the brand out there. I do a lot of events both in our facility and outside. I go to a lot of beer shows and street festivals, things like that, selling and giving out samples, and then doing things like this, just telling people about the product, telling people about cider in general, because it's not, like you said, it's not something that is as prevalent as beer right now in this country, but it's definitely up and coming, so exciting job.
Well, you were on the show with us last week on the 1st of September. We thank you for coming up again.
Absolutely.
Spend some time with us, give you a little more promotion here, and let people know about your great ciders.
Thank you so much.
Because they really are amazing, absolutely. You know, and kind of like we were kind of hinting at before, but I think it was the craft beer drinker that turned on to ciders way back when. And again, I'm going back. Seems like about 10, 15 years ago, which is ages in this industry. And I know that market is evolving, and I think we're seeing, from my estimation, Tara, help me out on this, and also Will Rogers, who's here with us, with a great name, by the way. Got to tell you that. You never met a cider you didn't like, but no, that's for the old people out there.
People get that reference.
No, I know. You have Tara says, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Yeah,
too?
I don't get the reference.
Did you ever hear Will Rogers?
Yeah, but I don't know who that is. Actually.
Okay.
Indian cowboy actor from early 1900s.
Oh,
In other
okay.
words, one of my contemporaries.
Exactly.
At one point, very prevalent in American society.
Very
However,
much so, and he didn't have the phrase, "I never met a man I didn't like."
That is correct.
I'm sure you know the whole history, Will. You have to.
I actually know very little about Will Rogers.
Okay.
I kind of, after growing up with the older generation, always commenting on it, I just kind of, I don't really want to know what they're talking about too much.
Now, your real first name's William, right?
Yes.
But you're called Will?
Yes.
Okay, because if you were tired of that, of being referenced to the comedian, the humorist, you could just go back to William, I guess.
Yeah, no.
But you're cool with it.
I don't think he could get his line cooks to say 2 syllables.
Well, it also reminds me of Office Space that somebody was just reminding me recently, the character Michael Bolton, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, I love Michael Bolton." And he's like, "The other Michael Bolton."
Yeah, no. I feel his pain.
Yeah.
So, Will, what is your role with the company?
Right now, I am the executive chef and also the general manager. A lot of roles for very few people at this point in the company, but I do the best I can without losing
That
my...
is a lot to do. There's a lot of those hats are really heavy hats that you're wearing.
They are. It's not comfortable. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Well, you guys have a lot of information about the cidery on your website.
Yes.
Which I like.
That's all, Maddy.
I was chuckling. I was like, "Wow, they go into a lot of depth." But
they
it's
do.
helpful when you want to get information. So, tell us about the company.
Yeah, so the company actually started back in 2013. Our founder, John Kochek, started the company. He started off with the Sir Charles brand. And the inspiration for the brand came from his grandfather, actually. His grandfather's nickname was Sir Charles. His name was Charles Steckel. He grew up in northeast Pennsylvania and was working in apple orchards as a child, and then learned how to make cider. He also made Applejack. It became kind of a family tradition. And then when John became an adult, he started homebrewing beer, and got to talking with his grandfather, learned about his cider making, and his grandfather kind of showed him the right way to do it, and he took off with that. And so they started Sir Charles about 5 years ago, and were in production doing contract brewing through a winery in Lancaster. That winery actually switched ownership, and so they kind of had to start from scratch, and they decided to open up their own facility in the city of Philadelphia. And that's where the name Original 13 came from, was kind of paying homage to the original 13 colonies, and Philly is the birthplace of America. Yep. So that's where the name behind the brewing company came from. But the cider that we distribute here in South Jersey is the Sir Charles brand of cider, our Sir Charles line. So we have our Sir Charles Original Semi-Dry, which we showed you guys last week. And then today we're looking at the Deep Blueberry Sea and the Strawberry Valkyrie. And those are the 3 varieties we have in cans right now that we're distributing in and around Philadelphia, in South Jersey, and then moving into Central PA as well.
Well, I think that's great. Let's talk about this first cider. So, Maddy or Will, whomever, both.
You're drinking the blueberry?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So the Deep Blueberry Sea is actually based off of our original semi-dry recipe. Most of our flavored ciders are based off the original semi-dry, and we actually take fresh New Jersey blueberries. All the blueberries come from Jersey. They're all fresh. We never use concentrate. We never use any artificial sweeteners. We don't use fructose. It's all fresh apple juice that's fermented, and then fresh fruit to flavor, and then a little bit of sugar on the back end. So
that is really a delightful drink. Tara, what are your thoughts on this?
It is, and I don't know how hard or easy cider making is. I haven't gotten too much into that, but I feel like it's easy to make one that kind of goes awry a little bit, at least for my palate. And this is a really nice balance of fruit, sweetness, and dryness. It's not
Thanks for saying that.
overly sweet at all.
My cider background is probably as intense as yours is. I mean, let's face it, we're primarily the beer people here. But I've not been impressed by a lot of the ciders that I've had for whatever reason. Not that they're flawed. I don't want to say that, but it just didn't suit my palate.
Right.
This has a tremendous balance to it. This is
Does.
very, very drinkable. I don't know how many iterations of this you guys went through before you hit the formula, the recipe that you really like. But to me, this is spot on. This is really, really good stuff.
I think there were about 10 test runs, give or take.
Will does a lot of help with, as the chef, he helps out the brewer a lot with
I would
taste
imagine.
testing and
That's good.
recipe
Yeah,
testing, things like that. So he's always, we have a lab. Our brewer has a lab, which is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like his own little cave where he has all of his little instruments and scales and things like that. So every once in a while he calls Will back there and they do recipes testing, and we go through a lot of different recipes before we come out with something we really like. It depends on what they're working on at the time, but they
True.
can go anywhere. They could spend a couple of months working on a recipe before they decide to put it out.
So, do you do cider cocktails at your place? Because I'm like all over this
Now
We
we're
do.
talking
as a
here.
base for a cider
We
cocktail.
do some cider cocktails. I don't remember what they are off the top of my head. That's more my bar manager's area of expertise. But we do a lot of cider infused cocktails. We also do cocktail takeovers every month with a local distillery, and we highly encourage them to use our product in making the cocktail list for that. That's usually third Thursday of every month, unless there's scheduling conflicts, of course, which does happen. But yeah, we like to have some fun.
This is cocktail all over it. And you know what else I think? I mean, you're the chef, you tell me, but I could see turning this into a blueberry syrup.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of the food in the restaurant has cider in it in some shape or form. With the strawberry, the next one you guys will be trying, actually, I do a gluten-free and vegan strawberry shortcake, where I use the strawberry cider in the biscuit itself and do a reduction to create a gastrique to drizzle over this.
I always like
Sounds
hearing when culinary and the brewers work together, as you guys are doing. I think it's a great thing. You don't see that in every establishment, but some of the better ones do that. So congratulations to you on that part of it.
Thank you.
As well, absolutely. Some people are under the impression when they hear the term hard cider, they think, "Oh my God, the alcohol content's got to be through the roof." But that is not the case at all.
It's a respectable number. Most of ours are between 6% and 7%.
That is very doable.
It's very easy drinking. We carbonate very low, so you don't get full of all that gas in your stomach.
Right, which will fill you also.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's very easy drinking. Sometimes it can lead to a little bit of trouble because they go down a little.
Because it goes down too easily.
But
This tastes like juice. Like
Yeah.
you gave it to
It's
me.
really
does.
easy to have too many.
Perfect brunch drink, right?
We
We
do
do cider mimosa.
Yep.
Aha. And so what do you put in that?
That right now has our bone dry, which is pretty much straight fermented apple juice. There's no back sweetening involved, and orange juice.
Okay.
So we do have brunch on the weekends, which I'm thankfully missing out on right now. But we do 10 to 2 on Saturdays and Sundays.
Gotcha.
That sounds
We're going to get into the
lovely.
location too, right? But I don't think we didn't zero in on the location.
We
yet.
haven't, if we might have mentioned it, but we
Yeah,
didn't talk about
the
it.
location.
So we're located on North American Street in the city of Philadelphia. We're in Kensington. Old Kensington is what it says on the map, and we're in the Fishtown Northern Liberties area. So we're very close to Fishtown Northern Liberties. Just a 10-minute drive from Center City, so very easy to get to if you're going into the city.
Plenty of parking too.
And lots of parking. We're right on the street. We've got tons of street parking. There's not a lot around us right now. So We have a rather large pub and restaurant at our location. We can seat about 50 inside and about 30 outside. We have a full bar. So we actually serve, in addition to our own ciders, meads, and perries, we serve local beer and local spirits. Through our license, we are only allowed to serve alcohol that is made in the state of Pennsylvania, which is actually a really cool thing for us because it gives us the opportunity to really highlight all of the great local beers and spirits that are in the area. Most of our stuff we get from the Philadelphia area. We get a few beers from Central PA and from out near Pittsburgh, but most of our stuff is from the Philly area, or at least on this side of Pennsylvania. And then we host events. We do things like karaoke. We can host wedding receptions, things like that as well. So we got a lot going on over there.
Within the tasting room, do you do flights of ciders?
Yes, we do.
So
we do a full 6-cider flight,
Okay.
5-ounce pours. And we have, I think right now we have 6 or 7 ciders on, but then we also have 2 meads and our very first perry we just came out
We're
with.
down to 1 mead, actually. The ancient one kicked.
Oh, okay. So
okay,
the ancient mead
okay.
the ancient mead is gone. That one was really interesting.
I love mead.
that
I love
was
a
a
well-made mead.
We have some very well-made meads at our location. Yeah.
And you mentioned Perry. Some people may not know what Perry is, but it is what?
It's a pear cider. So
Pear
instead of
cider.
fermenting apples to make our cider, we actually fermented pears this time. And they're Japanese or Asian pears. Sorry, it's an Asian pear
Oh,
cider.
I know Asian. I love Asian pears.
Yes, it's delicious. It's really, really good.
I do. Will you give me that look, Tara?
Because I thought of a dirty joke.
Well, listen, this is a family, even though it's beer and beverages, it's a, tell us off the air.
I'll tell you off the air. Sorry.
A dirty joke has to do with pears?
Shush, I'll tell you later.
Oh, my God. I don't know where this is going to go. I'll
Never
tell you
mind.
what.
Forget it.
Kristen,
It's
my
very
daughter
funny.
here, you better walk out of the room on this one. She just shakes her head because I've heard her
laughs at
all
you.
before anyway. Do people come into the tasting room who have never really had ciders before?
Surprisingly, I'd say more common people come in that have had ciders that they didn't like.
Now that I can buy into.
We do a really good job of converting people. As you said, it's very approachable. It tastes good. One thing that separates us from a lot of the ciders out there is we don't water ours down at all. A lot of the beer companies, they'll water it down so you don't get that apple flavor.
Correct. Maybe that's why I've been turned off by so many. Between the watering down and the additional sugars that are added, I mean, they're almost like drinking a pop drink. I haven't found any that I really like. I will say this though: I think you guys participated in one of Andy Calamano's events over in Philly at
That
the
was
Navy
Pour
Yard.
the Core.
Oh, yes.
That's right,
We do,
yeah.
we do pour the core every year. We
And
really
I
enjoy
did
that
find
one.
some really good ciders there.
Pour the Core, that organization, it's called Starfish Junction that runs
Starfish
Pour the
Junction,
Core.
yep.
And they do events in New York, Philly, and Baltimore every year for purely cider, and they do a really amazing job of seeking out small local cideries. We actually debuted at Pour the Core in either 2014 or 2015 with the original Sir Charles recipe back when we were contract brewing still. And then we came back and did Pour the Core last year as our kind of second debut in the city as a Philly cidery. And we go all out for Pour the Core. So this year we'll be sponsoring a lounge at Pour the Core. So we'll have a couple of tents set up. We'll have cider samples. We may have some food samples as well.
There'll
Fingers
be a lot
crossed.
of cider cocktails in that lounge. So.
Ooh, that sounds
You
good.
don't know the
Yes,
date
yeah,
off the top of your
absolutely.
head, do you? I mean, I
Yep,
can
it's
look
October 20th.
October
October 20th
20th.
at the Navy Yard.
at the Navy Yard. That's a
I
great
think we
venue.
should go. I haven't been to a Starfish event in a while.
I've not
I kind
either.
of miss
And
Auntie
Andy's a good
Linda
friend.
and Uncle Andy.
He's a good friend. I actually chatted very, very briefly with him online yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah,
How
over
was
the
he?
event that we did a week and a half ago in Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
We went to see
I
Barbie.
missed
We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, wow, I'll tell you what, that's cool. But just watching the evolution of ciders, of craft cider. I call them craft cider. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but
That is the term that we use.
Do you
Craft
really?
craft cider. Absolutely. I mean, because, you think about it, there's very large brands out there. I don't want to name any names, but there are
We all know them.
There are very large brands out there that are not craft cider. They're mass produced. They're produced all over the world with different apples, and then they add a ton of sugar so that it all tastes the same.
Mm-hmm.
We call ours craft because it's produced locally. We use 100% Pennsylvania grown apples. We get them from Ziegler's up in Lansdale, Lansdale, Pennsylvania, and all of the apples come from the state of Pennsylvania. They're fresh pressed. Like Will said, we don't add any water. It's not mass produced. Everything is made in our facility in the city. And it's really important to us to continue sourcing as locally as we possibly can, just to maintain that integrity.
Something that I'm hearing a lot in doing some reporting on cider is there are a lot of ways to kind of cheat on your cider, right? Like, what are some of those ways? I mean, we talked about, I don't necessarily remember exactly, but I hear people saying things like, oh, well, they're just, I don't know. Like, what are some ways that some people cheat, and why does that matter?
The most dominant cheating is literally just watering down your product.
Okay.
You look at our product and we're at, comfortably 6 to 7%. You go and look at some of the bigger companies out there and you'll see 4%, 4.5%, 5%, 5.5%. That's an easy indicator that you're getting a watered down product.
Okay.
As far as cheating with sweeteners, I honestly don't pay attention to those companies, so I don't know what they're using as their sweetener. We personally use pure cane sugar. We don't use any fructose products or anything like that, and we only use sugar to sweeten 2 of our varieties. Everything else is back sweetened with either fresh juice or purees.
Okay.
Another thing is, like he was going off of that, we don't use anything artificial. So right down to the color. A lot of, one of the things you'll notice about our cider is especially the blueberry is it's really deep color, but you can still see straight through it. It's completely translucent. We use a really effective filtration method to get that, but the reason that color is so bright is because everything we do is completely natural. We're not putting any artificial colors in. We're not putting any artificial flavors in. So we're not taking apple flavoring from a company that makes artificial flavors and putting it into the cider. I have a feeling, I can't speak to any other brewing methods myself. I'm not a brewer or a cider maker. But I can imagine that an easy way to get around a lot of what we do is just by adding artificial flavors.
I think you're right. I think that is something people have talked about. And maybe also using concentrate.
Oh, yeah,
Strawberries,
absolutely.
too.
A lot of
Concentrates
places
is
will
a
use
big thing,
concentrates, and we don't do that. We just use fresh puree.
Most of those big companies are just using a concentrate product.
Okay.
Were you guys, both of you, were you cider drinkers prior to?
They're both
Not at all.
shaking their heads.
No.
I grew up in Wisconsin. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So I was a beer drinker my whole life, and really, really into craft beer. And excuse me, I remember when I first applied for this job, I really didn't see much of a difference between cider and beer. And it wasn't until, because the ABV's around the same, it's a lot sweeter, but you're drinking it out of the same kind of can. And so people kind of tend to lump them together, and that was my impression. And when I first was hired and started talking to our brewer and our owner, I really learned how different cider is and how versatile it is. So it was really, really interesting for me to learn about cider after first getting hired.
Interesting. Okay.
And, you guys brew beer also? You don't? Okay.
No, we strictly produce ciders, meads, and perries.
Ciders, meads, and
Yeah,
perries.
we're technically licensed as a winery due to the fun Pennsylvania laws. Cider doesn't have its own category.
Oh, sure.
So you have the brewers who are licensed as beer manufacturers, and then cideries are lumped in with the wine producers.
That's according to the law. You don't get to decide.
Yeah, no, we're
Right,
not allowed to
right.
brew anything. We couldn't brew beer with our license. We'd probably, I don't know if we would have to get a second license or get a more overarching license, but on our current one, we can't brew anything. We can, because when we say brewer, it's actually a misnomer. It really should just be cider maker, because it's pure fermentation. It's the same process as making wine.
am just, I mean, everybody rolls their eyes when the subject of Pennsylvania liquor laws comes up.
Oh, yeah.
They're fun.
But they're so much better than New Jersey liquor laws. I mean,
I'm
we
not
couldn't
familiar at
do so much of what you guys are talking about.
Really?
Oh, yeah, like as far as even serving other products.
Well, yeah, isn't there some weird Jersey thing where if you're producing alcohol, you can't serve food or something like that?
If you're producing beer, you can't serve food.
Yeah, okay. That just seems like why wouldn't you want people
The laws are a little bit
while they're
skewed.
drinking?
It's the Restaurant Association lobby and the wholesalers lobby.
Correct.
Makes sense,
the
yeah.
packaged goods, basically the store owners lobby.
That's also an evolutionary process. There's going to be some,
Yeah.
revitalizing and reformulation of things.
Sure.
As you mentioned, cider doesn't have its own category yet.
Right, and that's all actually happening in Pennsylvania right now. The laws are being restructured. That's what gives us so much. In 2016, the laws were actually restructured for wineries, which is what gave us the ability to open a full restaurant and a full bar, which we wouldn't have been able to do before 2016.
Okay, that's
I want to
interesting.
mention again, we're chatting with Maddy Bird and Will Rogers from Original 13 Cidery in Philadelphia. Original-13.com is the website. Got to make sure we get that hyphen right in there, right? How about we go to the West Coast, to L.A.?
Oh, you buying?
I'm buying it today. We're going to do it electronically. We're going to travel via the phone lines out to Los Angeles.
Okay.
And I got to tell you something. This guy for years has cracked me up. It's a riot. I actually have one of his CDs, Sergeant Pecker. That was one of
I can see why you like him.
I don't have to say it anymore. Many of you will recognize him from the Howard Stern Show, and this is Jackie the Jokeman Martling. Jackie, how are you, sir?
I can't believe that it's the year 2018 and people are still trying to figure out what can go with beer and what can be sold where. That ship sailed in like 1968. It's like being over in Amsterdam. You can go into one place and smoke, but you can't drink. And you go to another place, you can drink, but you can't smoke. Another
True.
place, you could do both. It was like, Jesus Christ, by the time you figure out where the it's not even worth it, And now, you gotta
always
eat,
worth
have
it.
a drink, and you have a drink, you got to have something to eat. Last night here, we went to eat down on Sunset Boulevard, and there was a huge police thing, like a check. You know what I mean? An alcohol check.
Uh-huh.
Boarded up and huge lights, and they stopped every car, and I'm like, it's all such a game. If you want to get drunk, park the stupid cop car outside the bar and arrest the people coming out. It just is so maddening. I'm going on 50 years old, and it's making me nuts. So I don't know. So what are we talking? Is this hello, lady? I don't know who you are.
Hi, I'm Tara.
Sarah, very nice to meet you. I love Philadelphia, my favorite place. I was headlining there for years before I ever met Howard.
Right.
I was there so long ago. I was friends with DeBella.
That's John DeBella
John
from
DeBella.
102.9. Yeah.
Michael DeBella from Long Island Radio, WLIR.
That's
I knew him
right.
like 5 years before I even did comedy,
I actually got a beer for John. John wanted a beer that was only distributed in England, and I got it for him. I had it sent over here for him. So, John...
You know what?
Yeah.
You should put me on hold while you call him, and maybe he'll finally say thank you.
That's unlikely, to tell you the truth.
That ain't going to happen.
Jack,
Hey, listen, by all coincidence, I don't know if you know this. I don't know what I'm called to plug, but I'm working next Friday at a place that's not that far outside of... Where's Mount Arlington? Is that anywhere near you guys?
No, I don't know that one.
Not familiar.
Oh. Well, then I'm an idiot.
No.
Mount Arlington, New Jersey, at the Comedy Shop at the Marriott. It's supposed to be a really great place, but, as long as I've been doing this, I still don't know where I'm going. I go over the George Washington Bridge, and then I follow directions. I don't know where the frig I am ever. I'm in Philadelphia. I'm in Vermont. I just don't care.
Well, we know one place where you're going to be. But from the 18th to the 20th, you're going to be in Atlantic City.
I'm so psyched. I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, the Hard Rock.
Worked there so many times over the years. The Hard Rock Casino and the Howie Mandel Comedy Club. And it's 8 p.m., just one show a night. Lots of time to fool around and misbehave. If the fans come, there'll be a million Stern fans and fans from all over. It's great when it's just one show because you can sign autographs, take pictures, and of course I peddle all my crap, which I've always done. But then you hang out. You know, people are always like, I can't believe you're hanging out at the bar afterwards. What are you kidding? I haven't had a drink in 20 years, and I still hang out at the bar. I don't know how to go home.
Where do you like
Somebody should remind me. What are you doing there? You don't drink, you moron.
Where do you like to hang out in AC?
You know what? I haven't been there in a long. I always wind up just hanging out where I am, unless like 20 years ago, the Stern affiliate in Atlantic City was just the wildest guy. Al Parinella is the greatest guy, and I do a show in AC, and he would drag me to a place. I'm sure it's not still there. Delilah's Lions Den.
Oh yeah,
it is still there, isn't it?
We do know about that place, yes, Jack.
Yeah, I went to Atlantic City 4 times, and I got married 5 times.
That's what we like to hear.
Jack, you got to learn to speak your
I
mind.
was going to Atlantic City forever. I did my first show down there in 1980 with Gabe Kaplan. Do any of you kids have any idea who Gabe Kaplan is?
I do, because you and I are about the same age, pal.
Oh, no, you're that old?
I'm that old, yes, exactly.
Now, where am I talking to? Am I talking to Philadelphia, Atlantic City? What
very
town
near,
are you guys in?
Very near Atlantic City. We're about 45 minutes from Atlantic City. We're actually 45 minutes from Philly also.
What town?
It's called beautiful
place?
Millville, New Jersey, where we just found out
Millville?
Richard Nixon resigned.
I worked in Millville at that theater.
At the Levoy Theater. Yes, you were there.
Oh, what a great place! And they stopped having me.
Well, they got to get you back
working?
again. Yeah, the Levoy. It's still there. It's still open, and we got a
Will
comedian.
you do me a favor? Tell a few of your 7 listeners to go over there and pound on the door and tell them to bring me back. I was far away, but it was a great place.
Hear that, guys? Do it.
I will tell them. And by the way, the 7 listeners is only when our families tune in. I want you to know that.
What?
Our 7 listeners is only when our families are tuning in.
But is that a way of telling me that it's family friendly, that I shouldn't curse?
Jack, we want you to be yourself. We do.
No, I don't curse on the radio. I don't need to. But Atlantic City, I hope everybody comes because they so respect my talents that they put me on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
That's right.
That's only because they couldn't get me to do a show Monday morning. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Yeah, it's like being the picador. Get the audience nice and ready so the real entertainment can come in Friday and Saturday.
Well,
I'm working with a guy named Rich Harkaway. Listen to this one. This guy, I put him on stage in 1980, and then he quit comedy and became a urologist. And like 3 years ago, he decided he was going to do comedy again. So during the day, he looks in your to see why you can't pee, and at night he tells jokes. That's the greatest gig.
About your right?
Now, where's your shop? Philadelphia?
No. The radio show's out of Millville. We're very near the Levoy.
No, her shop. Where's her beer shop?
Oh, that's Maddy. We're talking to you. Yeah, she's got a cider.
Oh, you're talking to me. I wasn't sure. Okay, our shop is in
Wait a
Philly.
minute. I thought you said Sarah. Is it Maddy?
Well, so I'm Tara. I'm the co-host of this show, and I'm a freelance journalist. So my shop is in my kitchen in Camden, New Jersey.
The person with the beer store.
Well, there's a cidery, and we've got 2 people on from there, and that's in Philly, and one of them is Maddy, and so she'll tell you where they are.
That's me. We're on North American in Philly. We're by Fishtown.
I could not be more confused. Now, where is your place in relation to Bala Sinwid?
It's we're a little bit east and south of there.
I would love to get a hold of the people that named those damn Philadelphia.
I would too.
Salem and Bala Sinwid. What happened to Jonestown? And, Smithville.
Well, we know what happened there.
We know what happened to Jonestown.
Well, all you got to remember is we're in Kensington. So come to Kensington and you'll find us.
Oh, now see, I've heard of that. I
know you have.
I'm lying. Learn about people like me will say anything. I have no idea what you're talking about. I just know Bala Sinwid sounds like a disease I got in high school.
Yeah, we have a lot of towns that are Welsh that are impossible to say, much less spell, and they have like 10 Y's in them. So Ballackinwood is just the beginning.
Well, but the truth of it is, it's good. It gives it flavor. So you're near there. You're not near there.
We're like 15, 20 minutes away from there. That's like just outside.
I gotta come there. I gotta come stay at a hotel the night before the 18th. On the 17th, I'm staying at a hotel because the 18th I have to go do MMR, which is part of the deal with the Hard Rock. So maybe we'll come not drink beer at your place.
We've got beer if you want beer, but we've got better cider.
I don't drink.
Oh, okay.
I don't drink. I just like and women.
We've got great food. So.
Where are you broadcasting from? It sounded like the kid was whispering, so obviously you're not in the booth.
No, we're broadcasting from the SNJ Today headquarters, Command Central, here in Millville, New Jersey. So it's on 99.9 FM, 1240 AM, and the podcast version, which gets all over. And that's where we get
so
a
you're
ton of
actually
listeners.
on the radio.
We're actually on the radio. Believe it or not, they gave us a job.
Very cool. That's I was so pissed off because I always agree to these things, and then I'm sorry. And last night we did such a show and had such a great time. So we got all stoned, had a great time. I wake up all groggy, and I'm just about to go for my first cup of coffee, and your producer says, "Call in 20 minutes." I'm like, "Oh, I knew when I signed up for this," but I ran down to the coffee shop and guzzled some coffee, and then smuggled the cup out. And so you got me at perfect time, right? After 3 cups of coffee, instead of the grumpy I would have been at the other. Oh boy, I would have just torn you a new. But I'm thrilled. So you're the first to know that me and Stuttering John and Billy were by design at a party about a month ago, and we were telling stories, and it was so interesting. I said we really should point a camera at this. And that's why I'm in Los Angeles. The guy is producing it. He flew me out and put me up here. And 2 nights ago, me and John, the Stuttering John from the Stern Show, and Billy West from the Stern Show, we sat there and we just talked freeform for 3 hours with 5 video cameras. And the guy says it's unbelievable. So you're the first people to hear about this. I don't know if it'll be in a day, a week, a month, or 5 years. But eventually it's going to be carved up into something really, really great and could wind up being a regular show. And I'll never have to call in to the beer drinkers.
Well, you see, you have to have 3 hours for Stuttering John.
Oh, God. Yeah, you had to see. Oh, he got locked up so many times. We had about 20 people in the audience, and I would just turn to the audience, and we just would die. Oh, it was so great.
Well, Stuttering...
What? Oh, God.
Well, Stuttering John at least got through to President Trump, didn't he? He called him.
Oh, God, that was that gave him a whole rejuvenation. That's the funniest thing. And he only spoke to President Trump because KC was too busy to talk to him.
Right.
Crazy drunken KC from the Stern Show didn't answer the phone, so John's producer said, "Why don't you call the president?" So stupid. Now you guys coming to this Atlantic City show?
I am going to be there. That's coming up. Yeah, we got to push that out again. Like you said, Tuesday through Thursday. That's prime time, man. 8 p.m., September 18th to the 20th. This is at the Hard Rock Casino in Atlantic City. It's the Howie Mandel Comedy Club, right? I think they call it Soundwaves, too.
Yeah, it's a brand new place.
Brand new.
It's pretty exciting. I'm also working a ways in the future, October 13th, in New Hope. You know where New Hope is?
Yes, absolutely, New Hope.
I'm working at the Raz Room in New Hope on the 13th of October. And now there's one other place that might be near you. I can't think of anything. The White Wolf. Have you ever heard of the White Wolf?
No, I think that place closed down. No, I'm just teasing you.
I don't know how I get these gigs, but once again, I don't know why I'm talking to a beer distributor.
That's right, exactly.
I just do what I can do.
You've really lowered yourself to talk to us.
Did you give me your mailing address when I talked to you?
No, I didn't.
Well, email me your mailing address, and I'll send you guys some joke books and stuff. And tell your audience, if you want to get dirty jokes once a month, email. All you got to do is email me, jokeland@AOL.com, JOKELAND@AOL.com, and everybody gets dirty jokes, and they find out where I'm working. And I tweet jokes every day at 4:20 p.m. International Marijuana Time at Jackie Martling. So I go down to the pool yesterday. And, I love Hollywood. I tell the guy, look, I'll come out and do the show, but you got to put me up here for a couple days. This is always stupid. It's always interesting, So we do the show, and it was great. And I woke up all groggy and feeling great. And I go down to the pool. I bumped into Ron Jeremy. Do you know who that is?
I know who Ron Jeremy is, yes.
Even I know that.
Yes, I know who he is.
Oh, God, he must be 1,000 years old. He He said, we're getting old. How old are you? I said, I'm 70. He said, you look good. And I'm telling you, he looks like they should start digging the hole. I said, how old are you? How old are you? And he said, 65. I'm like, holy Christ.
Jackie the Jokeman,
Wow.
thank you. Thank you for coming on and chatting with us here on What's on Tap.
Well, I'm thrilled. Just do me a favor and plug the out of this.
Oh, we will, brother. Thank you so much. We'll see you in Atlantic City.
Really, go over to Levi Theater. I think it's owned by one family, to tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
we're going
At
to.
least it used to be.
I talk with them regularly.
Well,
Absolutely.
sponsor a show for the beer on tap thing. Or
Sounds
something
good.
like that.
Yeah,
Make them an offer they can't refuse.
I got you, Jack. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it.
All right.
Talk
nice
to you.
to talk to you.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, my. Well, this, by the way, will be our last show here. On
Yeah,
What's
Gary,
on
what were
Tap.
you thinking when you booked that? Did you get approval from Senior?
We're going to be hitting the beat button, I think, over and over and over again on this one. What do you think, Brandon? Yeah, Brandon shook his head, yes. Let's get into the second cider. We need
We
to
have
segue.
cider drinking to do still.
We need to segue to the second cider. What a delicious cider. Tell us about this one.
This next one is the Strawberry Valkyrie. It is a strawberry sweetened cider. This is currently our second sweetest offering. Our sweetest being our latest creation, the Blood Orange Dreamsicle. But the strawberry is really quite nice. I've been drinking it a lot this summer, to be honest. It's very good on the stoop in the city. So
On the stoop, did you say?
Oh yeah.
Such a Kensington thing to say.
I live in South Philly. It's a
Or
little
that.
slightly more civilized down there, so they say. But again, this again comes from the Sir Charles original, but this is back sweetened with a fresh strawberry puree as opposed to more apple cider. Other than that, it's a pretty easy drinking.
Very.
It's very crisp. It has a little bit of
Absolutely.
sweetness, but not cloyingly sweet. And it just really has that nice strawberry burst in it.
Maddie Bird, Will Rogers from Original 13 Cidery, original hyphen dash, whatever you want to call it, 13.com. 1526 North American Street in Philadelphia. Thanks for coming down with us the last 2 weeks. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so
The
much.
ciders are delicious. Going to remind you that What's on Tap is brought to you by Dogfish Head Craft Brewery, located in Milton, Delaware. Brewing, cooking, selling, and talking everything beer since the summer of 1995, and by Tropicana Atlantic City, where you can now cross over to the new territory at the award-winning Chelsea Hotel. Thanks to Philly Pretzel Factory at Union Lake Crossing in Millville, New Jersey. Brandon, our engineer, thanks for the great job. You're going to have some busy work to do, I think. And as always, we mentioned thanks to our guests, including Jackie Martling, who just got kicked us off the air, I believe.
I need this job. Darn you.
Oh,
Gary.
my. You can hear us, obviously, on 99.9 FM, 1240 AM, and by downloading the SNJ app at snjtoday.com. And you can stream all of our podcasts episodes through, my goodness, Google Play, iTunes, a host of others. I'm going to be adding a few more this week.
We're on SoundCloud too, right?
Yes, SoundCloud also, which is kind of big. I think we're going to be adding iHeartRadio this week.
Are we?
Yes.
Well,
what
that's
I'm
breaking news.
hearing
Awesome.
anyway. Well, at least we were. I mean, they'll pick up one episode.
Yeah,
I think, and that'll be it. So, we good, Brandon? Okay. See you next time on What's on Tap.